Oh, hello everyone. So I just wanted to show off what I've been working on over the weekend. I got my old archaeology game. I was looking at it and started this in 2014 for, I think, Ludum Dare 29. It's a little treasure finding game, and it never did turn out the way that I really wanted it to. What I wanted was this terrain, to be able to put a heat map on top of the terrain. And the terrain uses a texture, so I wanted to overlay a heat map texture on top. So after all these years, I finally got this sort of working the way I want. In the actual game, these little treasure chalices, golden chalices, will be hidden, but I got them turned on just for debugging purposes. But you can see right here the chalices that are only, like, if there's only one near, they'll be blue. If there's two, like over here, it'll be green. And then if there's three close together, they'll be red. It'll be a reddish color, like at the center of all of those. So I'm going to go ahead and stop. And as you can see here, it retains the heat map that I generated. You can actually see it update over here in the little preview for this material. Yeah, because I have like this one huge terrain, and the terrain size is 512 by 512, and my heat map texture is 1024 by 1024. So I got to multiply the coordinates of all the objects in world space by 2 to reference the location on the heat map. And then the heat map is just in the center. It's a 50 by 50, or no, 100 by 100 in world space. Yeah, I believe that's right. So it's like -50, -50 to +50 in each corner. But to convert that to the heat map coordinates, since the heat map texture is twice as big as the coordinates in world space, I got to multiply all of the world coordinates of like the little chalices by 2 to reference the location in the heat map. So let's go ahead and press play. And that will regenerate the heat map. Well, actually, the heat map gets generated whenever I put down a surveyor. So I have 3 different little guys in this game. And actually, I redid the whole user interface for this. I put a new way of measuring time, so it does it by a minute countdown, minute and seconds. And I got my little meter, so I did a little outline of like an hourglass, and it gradually decreases over time. That looks a lot better than the clock that I had before. I redid all of the GUI textures and GUI fonts and things like that with the new Unity UI, because I developed this back in 2014, back when they didn't have that. But now that they got the new Unity UI in Unity 5, they recommend using the new stuff because the old stuff will eventually go away. So yeah, you don't see any heat map right now. So if I put down a surveyor, so surveyor just reveals the heat map. So I put him down so you can actually see right here. We got red, 3 close here, 2 over here. But if I put a surveyor like right there, he's only going to find the 1. There's 2 down here. So, and if it goes out of bounds, it just does this white color because I don't manage I'm not applying any different color outside of this square area right here. So yeah, it did the green because it found 2, but like here, right here on the edge, it only has 1. It's like right there on the boundary. So here's another one with 2. If I go out here in the middle of nowhere, then it's not going to find anything. So yeah, the objective of the game is just like put down surveyors. Then, once you're playing the game and this is hidden, you can use a digger, or I forget what they call it. I call it excavator. And then that will make the treasure show up and it'll dig a little hole. Then finally, you can use an appraiser to actually calculate the value of the treasure and give you money. Now, I haven't tried this yet. I'm wondering if I put a new surveyor, will it update the heat map and remove? Yeah, it actually removed the one that was just appraised. So I hadn't tried that before. A little bit of an issue. These guys are a little bit floaty. They don't fall down. But what I think's interesting is since I'm overlaying this other heat map and just revealing the portions of it, then it will actually stretch along where the excavators were. Now, I think I'd actually put another excavator down and he'll actually, I don't know if he'll dig deeper or he'll just expand the hole. But, yeah, it seems to be working pretty good the way I want. Yeah, you can see one there. See if he digs deeper. Yeah, he actually digs the hole down further. So really, I need enable, like I'll probably have his kinematic enabled or something so these aren't falling, but that's okay. But yeah, let's go ahead and stop this. Let's go into the script and treasure. And just for debugging, I had is found already on, so let's turn that back off and save. And then another thing, whenever I start the game, there's actually a height map, and I just reset the height of everything within the square. I think I got it set to 300 as the height. So yeah, here's like a new game. Let me maximize this. And this is how like a regular person would play. They just like plop these surveyors down. And I need to go back and add UI bars whenever these guys are surveying instead of having the text. So yeah, I put a few of those guys down. I can clearly see here's where the treasure is. So let me dig like right here in the middle of the red. So I should get a lot of treasure right here. I actually had the countdown timer for the surveyor sped up just for debug purposes. I have these diggers set for 20. I might want to speed that up as well because that's kind of long to wait, 20 seconds to dig a hole. So yeah, you can see there's the two. He actually revealed over here too. So I need to probably modify it so whenever somebody's digging, it reveals a smaller area. So yeah, I can go here and each appraiser can appraise one item. I'm actually out of money right now, so I can't put any more appraisers down. Let's go ahead and do one over here. Then after they just target the closest one that isn't being targeted. So that's how you make your money. It's kind of like a three-step process. You survey to find out where treasure is. Then you dig a hole to reveal the treasure. And then you use an appraiser to find out the value and actually get money for it. I don't think there's... I haven't ever really tested if there's an end game. You just try to find all the treasure. So what's nice is like after I appraised, these cleared up. So now that's kind of like an unintended side effect. But I think it fits the gameplay pretty nicely. That way you don't have the old heat map showing where the treasure was that had already been collected. That's pretty. This is actually feeling like a real game now. I would like to develop this further and have like maybe different digging tools, like a jackhammer or something, things that help you dig faster. So maybe after each day or after time is up, before you go to the next level, have it so you can upgrade abilities, make things go faster, maybe improve the heat map or something, I don't know. But typically, like I said, it's been years since I developed this. You might just want to play it, see how much money you can get at the end of the game. The only bad thing about surveying, well, you can't see where you've surveyed before, but you can see where you've dug before. So obviously, like where it's lowered, I've already dug up the treasure there. I remember the theme for this Ludum Dare was underneath the surface. So it's kind of like, oh, you dig to find the treasure. I want to add different types of treasure too. I think I can make some pretty neat jewels and things like that in Blender. So he should find quite a few over here because there's a lot of red right here. So red is the highest the heat map will go. I think that means there's 2 treasures nearby. Oh, he got knocked out. That's crazy. But he still appraised it. I should probably update the heat map after they've finished appraisal. Oh no, I didn't need to put down appraiser. So yeah, you got the 3 buttons down here. I redid this with the new Unity UI, so it's kind of like consistent between all aspect ratios. But whenever somebody finds treasure, these guys should kick into motion and automatically find those treasures. So them walking to the treasures, kind of like totally cosmetic, I believe. They're already locked into whatever treasure they're going to appraise. I'm not sure if they have to be within a certain range of the treasure to actually start appraising it. But let's see if these guys... So yeah, they're already kicking into motion. So apparently they do have to get within a certain range of the treasure to be able to start appraising. So typically they do stay upright, walking through these little ditches. Oh, he can't get out. That's a problem. He can't climb out of the hole. So yeah, that's something I'll need to fix right there. So these treasures will never be appraised if they can't get to them. They're trying to get out. Oh, he's actually appraising it. I don't know how he got locked on and started appraising that. Like if I put an... Oh, he appraised that one too. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. But yeah, you can kind of see where the holes were, so I can put more surveyors out here and reveal more of the heat map. So I got 24 seconds. The time is almost over. And I do have music for this game. It's not great. Sound effects aren't the greatest, but when I'm developing this, I don't... After I've heard it for 10 minutes, I don't need to hear it anymore. Oh, end of day. Oh, and it totally quit... Stop those guys from appraising too. So that's what happens. Game over. I made $21,000 or dinars or ruples or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's my archaeology game. I don't know. I might work a little bit more on this. I think it's looking pretty good. Oh, the one thing I do want to do is like instead of having a square, because squares are pretty easy to do, I just go through. I can show the code right here. I use this splat map code. I just modified it. But you got 3 different textures in your terrain. So if I go to my terrain, I got like the background color, the out of bounds color, the inbounds color, then I got the heat map. And the heat map is just a BMP file. If you use a PNG or a JPEG, it doesn't get the color coordinate system right. Unity will complain. It's like, oh, you got to be a RGB 24, RGBA 32. I just used a BMP, and that fixed all the problems. But basically, I have a one function up here on start. I get component. Yeah, so I have my start function here. I get a reference to the terrain. I only have one terrain in the game, so I just do get component terrain. Well, I guess I should have done game object get component terrain. Oh well. Then you get the splat map data, or I create a new float array for the splat map data. I got some initialization here for converting the size from the heat map to the game board, from the game board to the heat map. So I loop through. So what this code is doing here, it's going through the terrain data, and basically what this is doing, if it's inside the bounds, the playable bounds, and it sets it to the second color, second texture. If not, it sets it to the first texture, so you can actually see where you can dig. This was just like some code that I that I use, but I commented it out. The best way for me to learn is like take existing code and then modify it for my needs. Then the next time I'll do it, I'll know how to do it. Then you basically set the splat map data. So that just resets everything. Now, here's the reveal heat map code right here. So I just finished writing this code. So I got a treasure map. And like I said, the size of the play area is 100 by 100. But since the heat map texture is 1024 by 1024, which is twice the size of the terrain, and the terrain is 512 by 512, then I have to basically double everything. It would have been easier, I guess, if I'd made a terrain that was 1024 by 1024. I didn't think about it at the time. Originally, the terrain was 500 by 500. I knew that would be a huge problem, having to do all that math. So like, okay, let's make it 512 by 512. I can handle that. So the treasure map basically goes through and finds every treasure that's been spawned in the game. For each treasure, it's going to go 10 by 10 in a square around that treasure and add to this treasure array. So if there's too close together, then it'll have one already for one treasure. Then when it comes to the second treasure, it'll just add one more. So that will give it a 2. Okay, so this is where we're revealing, where I've clicked on, or where I put the surveyor. That's what the vector heat map position is doing. This was some debug code right here. So here's the color array. So to change the color of a texture assigned to a terrain, you have to pass in a color array. And I don't think it can be a 2D array. So you've got to handle doing like the division yourself. You've got to handle converting the row and the column yourself. So since the area is 100 by 100, I got to multiply by 2. So it's 200 by 200. So I loop through the entire play area. And if in my treasure map, if it's 1, then I assign that color. So here's how I do the 2D array index in a single array, a 1D array. I do X times 200, which is basically, I guess that's like the row or the column. And then you add your Y value, your Y index. So I assign that blue. If there's a 2 in the treasure array, I make it green. If it's more than 2, I make it red. Else, I make it black. So that's one thing that I'm kind of confused about. I would think... I guess that's right. I just never do show the black. And I'll get to that down here. So in my heat map, I set those pixels according to that color heat map. And I use this offset so I don't start at the very bottom of the terrain. I go up until I get to the play area. It's kind of a wacky calculation. I think I actually commented how I came up with 412. Yeah. So the heat map texture is 1024 by 1024. The offset is, so it's 512. My terrain is 512. So half of that is 256. And then I'm going to subtract 50 off that to give me 206. So the play area starts at 206 in world coordinates, but because the heat map texture is twice as big as the world coordinates, then I got to multiply it by 2, which makes it 412. Yeah. The fun things I do over the weekend. So basically, I set the pixel. So I'm not setting the whole texture. I'm just doing it in the play area because I don't care anything about the texture outside the play area. Then I do heat map apply. And then I think this is where it's actually revealing. Yeah, so by default, my heat map texture, which is in index, 2? It's the third texture, so it's index 2. So in the splat map data, I'm going to take the position of the surveyor, and for some strange reason, I got to do Y then X because of the way the terrain is laid out. And you can't rotate a terrain in Unity. I found that out. You can translate a terrain, but you can't rotate a terrain, and you can't scale a terrain. So basically I'm saying for 10 to the left, 10 to the right of that location, I'm going to reveal at 50% alpha the heat map. So like I said before, it's a square, but it's working kind of the way how I originally envisioned this game. So I'm kind of happy about that. Later on, I can go back and do a sine and cosine and figure out, do an actual circle, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So then I just set alpha maps with that splat map data, so that's how it gets that to pop up. So yeah, I learned a lot about how terrain, well, I've used terrains before in the past, but actually texturing terrains programmatically, never really knew how to do that before. So this has been kind of helpful. I could see like other uses for this, like if you want to do a bomb and do an explosion or something, you can like paint a texture programmatically, or goo splatters or whatever. Just a way to change the terrain at runtime. And there's really not a lot of good tutorials out there. I mean, I found that one set of code right there, and that helped out tremendously. So anyway, yeah, I just want to talk about my archaeology game. I'll probably be uploading this both to my website and itch.io. So yeah, check it out if you're interested in this archaeology game. Like I said, it's an idea that I had years ago, and it's kind of finally starting to look like the game that I wanted it to be. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching.